Welcome back to the Humble Healer podcast with Dr. Quang Lei, I'm a family physician. And today we'll be talking about tips to have a happy baby while reducing parental stress. So I work in a setting with a lot of mothers, and a lot of them are first-time parents. And there is a steep learning curve for first-time parents since there are a lot of more anxiety related to the well-being of the babies, and experienced parents tend to be more relaxed since they've been through the struggles with the first babies. But we don't get to pick our babies' personalities, and having four girls myself, we've seen it all with the calmest babies and the difficult babies to calm down also. And they all turn out to be good kids, but as babies, they will give you different fights, and it's will be up to us to learn how to help calm them down and activate their calming reflex, which we'll talk about that shortly. Um, I derive most of the content from this episode from the book "Happiest Baby on the Block" by pediatrician Dr. Harvey Kopp, KARP, and the rest is from my personal experience, also from learning how to raise babies and happy, healthy babies while allowing you to rest and take also good care of yourself. Give some tips to parents on how to activate a reflex that babies have, which is called calming reflex, in order to help babies settle down and rest and sleep better. Human babies are brought into this world before they are ready. Human babies are probably the most helpless babies at birth in the animal kingdom. They can't sit, they can't turn on their own, they can't even burp without assistance. They are frail, fragile, and constantly overwhelmed. You see a lot of animals being born and already ready to run around. So why are babies born so fragile? The reason is that babies have big brains and we have sophisticated central nervous system, but that comes with big brains. And since babies are not ready, but if we leave them in the womb for another 3 months to mature and be more ready, then the brain will be too big on the head and they will be stuck in the birth canal. So unfortunately, because of the nature, babies will be forced out 3 months prior to them being ready for the outside world. And that's why it's more challenging to take care of babies in the first 3 to 4 months of life, or what Dr. Harvey Kopp calls the fourth trimester. Because of this naturally premature arrival, babies cry for help. And that is their instinctual reaction to ensure they get constant care, to ask us to simulate the womb environment, which is very warm and where they are well fed and there is no wet bum and they're also safely protected. Only 10% of babies become colicky from a physical ailment, such as food intolerance, but the rest exhibit colicky symptoms because they missed the fourth trimester in the womb. So as your child cries, respond and do not worry about spoiling the baby in the first 3 to 4 months of life. Here are a few tricks. Babies have calming reflex, and this help protects them during pregnancy and continue to soothe them after they enter the world. This reflex starts around the last month of gestation and helps them prevent from being moved around too much, which can be dangerous to their young lives. This reflex persists after birth, and the tricks to calm babies is to trigger or to activate the calming reflex that they have using the 5S method. The first S is swaddle, and you can learn how to swaddle by just looking up Google Gemini, and there are ways that you can get the swaddling blanket and how to swaddle baby nice and tight. A lot of parents are concerned that the babies are too constricted when swaddled, but if you swaddle properly, they can be swaddled like a burrito, and that would simulate their womb environment in which the baby in a very tight compartment, but still feel protected, and they cannot flail their arms. So a successful or proper swaddling will keep the arm straight down so that they cannot flail your arms and trigger even more agitation and reduce that warm calming reflex. Also, studies have shown that properly swaddled babies are less likely to suffer sudden infant death syndrome or SIDS because they're not likely to move around and less likely to asphyxiate themselves, which is the primary cause of SIDS. The key is to limit swaddling only to sleeping and crying episode and gradually reduce as babies mature. Some of my babies, when they were born quite big. So even without tapering on the swaddling, my babies were able to get free because they were so strong, even at around 2 months old. So this works the best on the first month or two. And after that, your baby will learn the calming reflex better and you won't need to do it for a long time. For the second S is a side position. When babies are laid on its back, its nervous system may interpret this position as falling, causing them to startle and flail their arms. By rolling the babies on the side, this can trigger the calming reflex. And once the baby is calm and ready for sleep, you roll it on its back to reduce the risk of SIDS. You can use props to keep the baby or to keep the swaddle babies on the side just for a short period of time until the baby is ready to sleep, and then you let the baby go back on its back. That's the important key, is to not leave it on all night, since the baby can get itself on the belly position while swaddling, which makes it more difficult for them and increase the risk of SIDS. For the third S is shushing. Why is shushing important? Because when the baby was in the womb, the sound of blood rushing around the womb is actually louder than a vacuum machine or vacuum cleaner. For babies, silence is a big contrast to what they are used to, and it drives them crazy. So noise can calm babies down, especially sounds that mimic the whooping sound of the womb, the whooshing sound of the womb. Shushing is a great way to simulate the white noise that babies are accustomed to. Start with a soft shush sound and slowly raise volume to meet the level of crying, and then lower your volume as your baby quiets down. Sometimes it seems strange to the outsiders, why are we shushing so loud? But we only do that when babies are crying loudly. So that way we can overpower their crying noise. And then when they reduce their crying intensity, we can also reduce our shushing intensity. The fourth S is swinging. Babies hate stillness as much as they hate silence. In the womb, the babies were always moving around as their mothers went about her life. To recreate this constant movement, rock your baby in your arms rapidly, but only within a range of a few inches. Then progress to gentle rocking to sustain the calming effect. They recommend support the baby head and neck like this against your chest. Keep the baby feel tight, and then just rock back and forth like this. And you can sit down when you do this. And I remember in the past when I did that, I also sat on a bouncing ball, a yoga ball. And as I rock on the ball, I also rock this way. So the baby really liked the swinging and rocking motion, especially when it's rhythmic. And it also, that the combination of that will also help activate their calming reflex. This is completely different from shaking your babies, because that is dangerous and can cause brain bleed and brain injury. So never shake a baby even when they cry. Rocking, shushing, and use all the S techniques to calm the baby down. The fifth S is sucking. For babies, to suck is to survive. A baby needs to drink up to 3 ounces per pound of body weight. This is equivalent to an adult gulping down 3 gallons of milk every day. So once your baby masters the art of sucking, start making use of the pacifiers to calm its reflex between meals. Pacifiers are best unsweetened and without chemicals and should be limited to the first 6 months of life to minimize babies' emotional attachment to it. This can also reduce the risk of babies start sucking on their fingers to calm themselves. So we struggle with that with our first child. And So it's important to make sure that you stop doing that around 6 months of age. How do we put it all together? Dr. Karp recommends keeping the baby in the bedroom for easy nighttime care for the first 9 months of life, but never share the bed because that can increase the risk of sudden infant death syndrome. You can be tired, falling asleep, and roll on your baby. The baby can also be choked by the wrinkled bed sheets, and also it's just not a safe environment for babies. It's a short-term gain with potentially life-threatening long-term loss. So don't do it. Never bed share, but use a baby crib, and you can put next to your bed so you can still be close to the baby. Or if you have separate rooms, use a baby monitor, and they are widely available, even wireless these days, to easily monitor your babies to see how whether they're crying and not. And once the baby is swaddled and put down on the side, make sure to add some soft background music to minimize silence. The white noise will help the baby also keep that and maintain that calming reflex. We use baby Einstein classical music, and studies have shown that classical music help calm babies down in studies on neonates. So learn and practice the 5S to activate the baby's calming reflex, and you will soon have many more calm moments yourself. Now, what to do after the 4th trimester, which is after the baby turned 3 to 4 months old. This is when babies are expected to sleep throughout the night. Some babies, like I mentioned earlier, will be easier and just do that the first month of life, but some will need to be trained in order to sleep through the night. And this is where lots of parents struggle, especially first-time parents, to train your baby to sleep through the night. Unlimited holding of the babies up to 4 months is acceptable, but after that, we should be mindful about teaching our babies how to soothe themselves, especially in the middle of the night. And once they turn 3 to 4 months old, they will learn to associate between crying and being held and being fed. And after 4 months of life, it's okay for a baby to sleep through the night. They will not lose weight. They will not be malnourished and so on. If we keep picking them up, they will keep crying to be picked up and fed and then rocking back to sleep. So we have to refrain from doing that. And it is very difficult. But one we know for certain that babies are not colicky due to physical ailments. And this can be verified by pediatricians or family practitioners during the multiple visits in the first few months of life of the baby. Then we can be reassured that it's okay to let the baby cry at nighttime, and they will be expected to cry less and less every night. One example that I've shown one of our colleagues in the past, a nurse practitioner, and she put a monitor up. She said the first night the baby cried for half an hour. The second night it went down to about 10 minutes. The third night about 5 minutes, and then after that the baby slept through the night. And she had a monitor on, watching the babies closely to make sure the babies were not struggling in any kind. So it's a short-term investment, but it will benefit both babies and parents. We'll teach baby to soothe themselves to sleep, and will allow parents to have restful sleep at nighttime. What we also did, me and my wife did, was we used some sort of device that you put over the crib, and it makes music and with light, and it does circulate around. There's a name for it, but I do not remember what it's called. It's so what we did was give the baby a bottle of the breast milk, and the baby at that time, around 4 months of age, can hold a bottle and then look at the sound, look at the light and the sound, and then all the shadows that the light make in the room, and it can be very comforting and soothing for the baby. And then that will help put the baby to sleep. And this is how we teach babies to self-soothe themselves, even at nighttime. When they wake up, they already have that training in place, and that will allow them to give them the skills to get them to go back to sleep without us picking them up, give them a bottle, and so on. I've seen parents struggle even after they turn 1 year old. So the longer you wait to train the baby to sleep throughout the night, the more difficult it will get. And then a lot of babies end up sleeping with their parents. And that's just, it's not easy. And you no longer have privacy, and then they will not want to leave your bed. It will be very difficult. I even have seen parents sleeping with their kids up to 10 years of age. So it's the longer you wait, just like smoking, the longer you wait, the harder it will be to get the baby to train themselves, to soothe themselves to sleep. And just remember that babies have no developing memories yet. In the morning, many times when we let our kids cry in the morning, it's like nothing ever happened. They do not remember, they do not retain any memories of the crying. So that's something that to think about too. And I recommend that if you decide to let the baby sleep through the night, the first few nights will be difficult. So hope that the guys or the husbands or the parent that did not give birth volunteer to take the shift to watch the baby, to man the baby in a separate room so the other parent can sleep. There's no need for both parents to be struggling while training the baby to sleep through the night. Divide and conquer. I hope that helps, and please recommend to other first-time parents or even potential parents to check out this video. That way you will have many more restful nights while also teaching your babies valuable lessons of learning how to self-soothe and put themselves back to sleep. Just remember that a lot of people that did not get trained as babies still struggle to do this even after they become older. So it's an important first lesson of practicing good sleep hygiene for babies. Take care and have a happy Sunday, and go Patriots.